Hey, it's Thomas here, and today we're going to be checking out Neat Aquatics Feeding Portal for net tops. If you're tired of trying to feed through your net top and having to clean off caked on flake or frozen food, or don't want to have to lift the top off and out of the way every time you need to feed or dose your tank, and love the idea of a simple little feeding hatch that takes just a few moments to install and will save you from all of the hassle or potential loss of fish that jumped out because your net top wasn't sitting perfectly when you put it back on, then check out the Feeding Portal from Neat Aquatics. These guys just never stop impressing me, and this thing is a must-have if you've got a net top. Net tops, oh net tops, what a love-hate relationship we have. Don't get me wrong, they serve an incredibly important function, and they keep our fish safe from jumping out of our tanks, and most net tops do it in a way that's unobtrusive and otherwise doesn't look bad at all. The problem is, they just always seem to be in the way. Sure, taking the top off to do water changes and bi-weekly or monthly maintenance is really no big deal, but most of us need to get into our tanks daily, sometimes more than once a day, to feed our fish or add 2-part and other additives. And yes, you can certainly try to make precision pours through the netting, but eventually it just gets caked up and gross, and ultimately that's why we keep lifting it off to get these things done. And the worst part about moving a net top is that it can be easy enough to forget to put it back on, or be in a bit of a rush and have a corner not sit perfectly flat, and it feels like every time that happens, a fish, which is usually your favorite one, ends up crispy on the carpet. Neat Aquatics did what they do best and came up with a simple, affordable, and effective solution that makes feeding and dosing through your net top clean and attractive. The Feeding Portal is 3D printed perfection using 100% reef-safe material. It's really easy to install on just about any net top and gives you a comfortable 3-inch diameter opening to feed through, with a lid that has a 3/8-inch grid to allow light to pass through while keeping your fish safe. So let's get it out of the box and I'll show you how it works. In the box, you'll find the Neat Aquatics Feeding Portal, some reef-safe bolts and nuts, and the instructions. One thing I love about Neat Aquatics is the little details that they put into their products, and this is a great example of that. They use an orange retaining band to hold the portal together in the packaging. It's obvious at first glance and has a little pair of scissors on it so you know to cut it off. I personally really dislike tape, and a lot of companies use it to hold the products together in packaging. Skimmer lids to cups is a great example of that. This is just a really pleasant experience. The second you take it out of the package, you know exactly what you're supposed to do with it. It doesn't leave any glue marks, and it's ultimately just hassle-free. The Feeding Portal is basically 3 components: the collar, which comes as 2 pieces, and the lid. You also get a bag of 8 small reef-safe nuts and bolts to hold everything together. You can install the portal anywhere you want on your net top, but if your netting isn't perfectly taut and has some waves to it, perhaps like this one right here, then picking one of the corners is usually your best bet. First, press all of the nuts into the back of the bottom portion of the collar. You'll see a little raised circle on each nut. That part is going to face outwards. Place the bottom half of the collar under the netting where you'd like the feeding portal to be, and then place the top half of the collar above it so that the holes line up. You can start threading the screws in by hand just until they start to pinch the netting. Then, in a crisscross pattern, you can tighten the screws a little at a time until they're all finger tight and the feeding portal is firmly gripping the netting. You can test this by gently pressing the netting in the center of the feeding portal and seeing if the netting outside of the portal is being pulled into the center. If it is, you'll want to tighten it up a bit more. Finally, use a sharp blade like a flat razor to carefully cut the netting out from the center of the portal and place the cap on, and you're done. You now have a small and easy to use feeding door, and you can stop fussing around with your net top every day or making a mess of it or forgetting to put it back on. I also really like that the feeding portal is reusable, so if I decide I need to replace my net top for any reason in the future, let's say I'm maybe just not satisfied with the first one that I put together and I want to replace it at some point, I can always put the feeding portal on this net top, and then when I get around to building the new one, I can just take it off of this one and stick it on the new net top. I don't have to buy another feeding portal. Neat Aquatics has really nailed it when it comes to simple, smart, and effective solutions for reefers. They often solve a problem most reefers just accept as being the way it is, and solve it not only brilliantly, but also affordably, which is huge. There's probably a handful of mistakes that you're currently making that Neat Aquatics has already got a solution for. Ryan and Randy actually have an awesome video on that you can check out right here. They go through all of the different products and what they do, how they solve them, and basically help you not have to deal with those, annoyances that you've been dealing with just because you didn't know how to fix them. Like, for example, your RODI unit making a whole big racket because of the pressure pump, they've already solved that too. Check it out.